driving. I like driving. I've done quite a lot of it. And intend to continue to drive. So I thought I might attempt to share some observations about driving. I learned how to drive in the United Kingdom, where at least at that point in the late 90s, a very high standard was maintained in order to drive on the road. And likewise for the motorcycle license, which is a separate thing. And they were very exacting. So although I passed my driving test the first time, I actually failed my first motorcycle test. It's kind of another story. I don't think it was especially fair. I wasn't failed for doing anything dangerous, but I was instructed to pull into a side street and there was a pedestrian waiting to cross. And so I also waited for them to cross, but they waved me past. So away I went. And it was the pedestrian's right of way. So according to the examiner, I should have just waited, even though they were waving me, go, go. I should have just waited for them to cross. So it felt like a setup, honestly. But anyway, so I passed it the second time. And when I was at the motorcycle school, the teachers there were all hardened bikers, right? And, they'd all had probably hours under their belt of riding, way in excess of the speed limit, possibly, hours riding at twice the legal limit, what have you. But they made it, so they're good riders, and they're at a position, maybe a point where they've seen friends die and so forth, and maybe they've got a bionic leg or what have you. So now they take it easy, they teach, and they know the local police, of course, right? So the cops, what they told them was that 10% plus 3, right? When it comes to what's the legitimate speed that you can actually do within a legal speed limit, right? Because obviously there's always a little flexibility. So at least for the police around Edinburgh, but I think it was a national thing, if I recall, the general consensus was 10% plus 3. So if you're in a 30 zone, you can add 10%, that's 3, plus 3. So now you can do up to 36, and the police aren't going to bother you. So if you're in a 40 zone, you can do 47. If you're in a 70 zone, you can do 80. Now I live in the US, and I've driven a lot in the US. Also, I got a lot of hours under my belt, I would say, for the time I've been here. And a lot of that on a motorcycle as well. East Coast, West Coast, in between. Not so much up and down, but anyway. I got a taste for it, And when you come from somewhere that has extremely high standards of driving, which is the United Kingdom in the 1990s, that's where I'm coming from, right? And you come to somewhere that has somewhat more lax standards, it's easy to get critical. I have a friend, LP, he's from Canada, he has a lot of or maybe a similar kind of series of complaints. But overall, it's fine here. I think, you can get around, and actually I much prefer the road culture here overall to that in the UK, which now is really camera enforced, average speed check, and they're starting to make all these regulations about what you can drive and where, and it's insane, right? So here is great. And if maybe there are some additional risks involved, which there may be, then I'll handle that. I like defensive riding, defensive driving. So a friend here actually, because I have been stopped for speeding now a couple of times, and a friend advised me, and she's a mature lady with a lot of experience, she's also done a lot of driving in the US, she said, I just go 10 miles over. Oh, because I told her 10% plus 3, what do you think about that? She said, I just do 10 miles over. I thought, yeah, right, that makes sense, right? the British kind of approach, a little more Teutonic there, a little more mathematical and rational. 10% plus 3. In the US, just do 10 over. Probably be fine. Of course, that may not stand to reason. But that's the thing, right? Now, something that I've noticed that varies from land to land is how much space people are going to give you when they pull out in front of you, right? Now, my education from my teacher was a great old geezer. He had dandruff in his eyebrows and a penchant for whistling Bach. Amazing. So he taught me that there are 3 S's that you don't want to make another driver commit, right? And that is to slow down, swerve, or swear, right? Meaning that if you pull out on someone and you leave insufficient distance so that they are obliged to brake for you, to slow down for you, to take their foot off the gas so that you can pull out, now you're in the wrong. But I see that here, it's more just of a guessing game of, well, I can see the speed they're coming at. If I pull out now, are they likely to brake for me? Does their car look like it has good brakes? Do they look like they're in a good mood? Let me just pull out. Right? And so, yeah, sometimes you end up braking pretty hard for people because they've got used to playing this game of, well, it's kind of my right of way, right? I mean, if I didn't actually technically cause an accident, if an accident didn't happen, how am I in the wrong? Right? And so, that's also fine. I think it goes with national attitude. Because this is a land of liberty, and so kind of, in a sense, if you're going to enshrine individual freedom, there has to be the right to have a little bit of, well, fuck you, buddy, right? And so there is. And so also, I'm okay with that, I haven't been in an accident. Oh, well, I have been in an accident in America because someone pulled out on me. But he was Swiss. And that's a whole nother story. I'll tell that one sometime about how I broke my collarbone. Yeah, that's a good one. I drove a lot in Thailand. I spent a lot of time in Thailand. I wouldn't know whether I could say I lived there. I never spent more than 2 or 3 months sequentially in the country. But I was in and out a lot. I had my place, had my woman, etc., etc. And I also rode and drove a lot out there. Motorcycles, trucks, rental cars a little bit, that kind of thing. So, out there it's next level. People go any way on the one, they'll come either way down the road, especially motorcycles. Motorcycles are also expected to drive on the verge. Right? You're actually expected to drive on the verge. Like here, if you're just driving along the verge in a motor vehicle, you're breaking the law. You're going to get in trouble. Out there, no, the police will stop you. Why are you riding in the road? You should be riding on the verge. You're on a motorcycle, right? And let's say you're on your 350cc sports bike, but they're going to try and tell you that you should be riding on the verge or in the slow lane so that they can hit you up for a fine. And sometimes when I was in Thailand, I had my international driver's license, and sometimes I didn't. And one time I left the bar with a friend, a lady. We were going to the market at about 3 o'clock in the morning. And we were going to go to the market to get some food. At 3 in the morning, coming out of the bar, we got on my motorbike, and I gave her my helmet. I had no helmet. And there was a police check, right? And they were breathalyzing everyone. Now, I can't say whether or not, really, at this point, I was over the limit. I had been drinking alcohol. But the guy asked me, you want to do breathalyzer? I was like, yeah, sure, let's go. So he pointed it at me, and I was about to put my lips around the tube and blow, and he says, no. And he just he just like blows at it, right? He goes like, like this, like showing me how to do it. Okay, so I just blew at the thing, right? Just blew in the general direction of the tube, and it gave a green light, and they let me go, and they gave me a pat on the back. I think they appreciated that I wasn't wearing a helmet and she was. She was a local, and even though actually generally it's the other way around, they will also fine the rider for not having a helmet. Like the motorcycle taxis, they all have to wear a helmet, but their passenger, it's kind of up to them, or that's how it was when I was there anyway. So yeah, that's a whole different road culture out there, and I had a good smash out there on a bike. That's another story as well. But I mentioned a couple of stories. Now maybe I should tell them. If I get any interest from this video, people are interested to hear my thoughts about road culture, something that interests me. I'm also interested in tobacco culture, knife culture, music culture, all kinds of things. And I heard from a YouTuber, I believe it's a man named Simple Little Life. I just clicked on one of his videos, and he was talking about how he was going to make a video about not knife content, and how YouTube doesn't like that because they want people to stay in their lane. Which kind of sounds like road going stuff. Yeah, stay in your lane, right? And when I'm driving, as a rule, I do. Thanks for watching.